Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, where we give you a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And in today's episode, I want to talk about the two things that Nick Wright fears about the Clippers. So that's the topic I want to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Also, be sure to check out our Dreamerspro Podcast, which is linked in the description below. So please make sure you check that out. With that being said, let's just get straight into the content here. So we all know that Nick Wright has a hate-hate relationship with the Clippers. I'm not even going to say a love-hate. Just a hate-hate relationship with the Clippers. He really doesn't like the Clippers. He's made no qualms about it. And even recently, he's come out and said that, seeing the Clippers fail makes him extremely happy, which is fine because, sports, we all have teams and players that we support, and that's fine. I'm not going to hold it against anyone. Fine. That's he's well within his right to feel that way. Now, let's talk about the history between the Clippers and the Clippers and Nick Wright. Now, I think all of this originates from really a Kawhi Leonard and LeBron James kind of rivalry. We all know that LeBron is Nick Wright's favorite basketball player. We also know that Nick Wright believes that LeBron James, is the greatest player of all time. That's his feeling. That's his belief. Fine. Now, any player that seems to come in that comes even close to threatening LeBron James, Nick Wright immediately proceeds to try to bite this guy's head off. First, it was Kobe Bryant. Second, it was Kevin Durant. And now it's, and then also we had Stephen Curry. And now it's Kawhi Leonard. He appreciated the run that Kawhi Leonard went on 2 years ago with the Toronto Raptors, gave him his props. But once he started hearing that, hey, people started saying, man, this guy could be the best player in the world and all of these different things, that's when things started to turn. And that's when really he just stopped liking Kawhi Leonard. Okay, no problem. However, all season long, Nick Wright predicted that the Clippers are going to lose in the playoffs. Now, let me just say this. There are a few things here. Number one, the Clippers going into the season were favored by everyone. Okay, so that's one thing to bear in mind. By Vegas, pretty much everybody in the NBA picked the Clippers to at least make it to the finals in the Western Conference. So we all know that. However, Nick Wright always lamented the fact that he thought that the Clippers didn't have enough size. And the reason why he pointed to that was quite simple. The reason is he believed that the Lakers were going to win the NBA title. Fine. But one of the reasons he believed that, if we're going to say that the Clippers are probably going to be their number one threat, is he looked at the comparison of their size. He probably figured out that, okay, listen, some stars would cancel each other out. LeBron and AD would cancel out Kawhi and Paul George. But he also spoke to the lack of size that the Clippers had in the paint. Given the fact that they have Ivica Zubac, who's a young guy, he's an offensive big. He's not really a great defender, although he can block shots. And then they have Montrezl Harrell. Montrezl Harrell, who's 6'7". In his mind, he's like, how is Montrezl Harrell going to deal with Anthony Davis, who's like basically 7 foot tall, Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, and even LeBron James? They can just throw so much size at the Lakers. So those were his two biggest points. And to be honest, the Lakers did have better size. Now, it's also important to point out, given the fact that that was true, it's still astonishing that the Clippers were still favored over the Lakers anyway. It just goes to show you just how good the team was. So what happened? And he also obviously felt that LeBron was better than Kawhi Leonard. So, fine. So what happened? The Clippers went into the playoffs. They won their first round matchup against the Dallas Mavericks. And then they went to start playing against the Denver Nuggets. And funny enough, I think it was a series of errors and comedies. Now, let me say this. The Clippers could have beat the Nuggets even with a lack of size. If not, there's no way they would have gotten up 3-1 on the Nuggets. They got up on them 3-1 because they were just simply better than them. Let's just call it what it is. What the Clippers went through were mental lapses in the second half of those games that they lost. Nothing else. It wasn't that, these guys are better basketball players than the Clippers. No way. They were up on them 3-1. And they just simply, squandered away that entire series. They could have beat them. They had 3 opportunities to close them out, and they didn't. And then they let it get to a game 7. And then when nerves come into the play, and then you see things like Paul George hitting the side of a backboard. So given the fact that the Clippers still didn't have the size, they still could have beat him, right? But they didn't. And for me, it was a correct prediction by Nick Wright, because he ended up being right, given if he could just say, okay, I point to the fact that you guys didn't have size in the paint. Now, granted, Nikola Jokic was a defensive nightmare, and the Lakers did a better job on him because they had better bigs. They had Dwight Howard, they had JaVale McGee, they had Anthony Davis. But they can throw at him to really neutralize him and make him not that effective. And it's not to say that Nikola Jokic did not have an effect. Obviously he had an effect, but I'm still saying that the Clippers should have beat that team, given the fact that we're up 3-1 on it. You lose to a team, but if you can beat them 3-1 in the first 4 meetings, it means you're pretty good in the first. But then they lost, so an argument could be made. Now, here are some of the things that I think that Nick Wright fears could happen with the Clippers. Number one, if they get like a Rajon Rondo, who's a traditional point guard, it automatically eliminates the issue of playmaking on the court, because now they have a bona fide playmaker that can run a team. At a certain points in the playoffs, Kawhi Leonard was actually playing point guard for the team. If you saw him, he was bringing the ball up, making a lot of plays. Now, granted, he did that at a high level. However, Kawhi Leonard is better as a finisher, not necessarily as a facilitator. He can do it, but I don't think that's where you need him, because Kawhi Leonard's biggest strengths are his offense and his defense, right? His defense is where he really hangs his hat, and which really separates him from pretty much any other player in the NBA, is his defense and his scoring and his efficient scoring. But now that you have him playing point guard, defense, and scoring, I think kind of hurt them. And also having a point guard that can play defense. Patrick Beverley is a great defensive point guard, probably the best in the NBA, but he's not necessarily a great floor general, right? He can run the team, but not to the level of a Rajon Rondo. And Lou Williams was a defensive, and he can also hit an open three, a spot up three. He's a good 3-point shooter. Lou Williams, on the other hand, is a great scorer, but a horrible defender. So if you brought in a Rajon Rondo, started him, and then had a Patrick Beverley at the point guard coming off the bench, and move Lou Williams to the 2, then you have a better situation going on there. So that's that. And if they were to pick up a defensive big, probably like a Dwight Howard or even a Hassan Whiteside, for example, a 7-footer that can block shots and defend. That's all we need you to do. We don't need you to score. We don't need you to focus on scoring. We just need you to defend the paint, block shots, and play great defense. And I think if they were to, Hassan Whiteside or even a Robin Lopez, for example, can definitely help the Clippers, who Robin Lopez is also a free agent out there who they could possibly go after. So if the Clippers were able to make these type of moves, and I definitely think that it would make Nick Wright have second thoughts about his predictions going into the season, because now the team has no weaknesses at all. Bigs they have, point guards they have, small forwards they have, defense they have, shooters they have everything. Now, I think if they do this would just probably make them the favorites again. Now, some people may say the Lakers are the favorites. Fine. I'm not going to argue with you if you feel that way. So if the Clippers make a move in this direction, I definitely think Nick Wright will have some long sleepless nights this season, because he knows that, listen, this team that I've been writing off is loaded and they are complete. They will have no weaknesses to point to. So what I want to know from you guys is, do you think that if the Clippers are able to make these two type of moves, getting a solid point guard and a solid defensive big, do you think that this is going to strike fear in Nick Wright's heart? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro, wishing you guys an amazing day. Peace.